Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Into the Rift podcast, a Riftbound TCG podcast hosted by myself, Alex Coccia, and of course, my very good friend and Bologna's best of Teemo, Joe Curley. Joe, how are you today, my man?
Very good, Alex. I know you've been busy doing lots of pre-rifts. I was on a bachelor party this weekend in Romania, but had a lot of fun and ready to talk some Riftbound.
I have played 3 pre-rifts already, and I have a 4th one planned later this week. I can't get enough of it, honestly, and we're talking about a lot of stuff today, but we're going to be going not only through the pre-rift experience, but I want to talk about some of the products that are coming out with the launch of Unleashed, which is literally 4 days away as of release of this, whatever, it's May 8th. What day is it today? We're recording on May 4th. So literally, when you see this, it'll just be a few days until the official launch of Unleashed, which is absolutely incredible. So we'll talk about a couple of the products here. We're also going to be talking about the standouts from our pre-rift experiences, then the best cards in each individual color, some of the standout cards you can be looking to pull from your packs. Let's talk about the products quick. Let's get that out of the way, then we'll talk about the pre-rifts. So there are a bunch of new products coming out in Riftbound. We do have the Vault, which is one of them that is. And here is the Vault. It's actually way bigger than expected. Sorry, it's kind of hard to get it in frame. Inside, it actually has a number of packs. It has the sealed runes, which I think is kind of interesting as well for people that want to do sealed events and stuff like that. It actually comes with some runes, which is kind of funny because when you first start playing, you really have no runes at all. You can't even complete a deck. And I've actually been putting my beginner decks in here, which I thought to be kind of useful little storage container for my Riftbound stuff, which is pretty cool. But another thing that's featured in the, I just dropped that. That is going to be dented. That's okay. It actually comes with 3 promos with the birds. You got the bird token promos, which is kind of cool. And on the back of the bird tokens, you do have the brush battlefield, which is kind of like in a bit of a foil treatment. So the Vault's a new product I think is kind of cool, Joe. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I haven't got my hands on it actually. First time I've heard about it, but seeing like the products is awesome. Like I like the look of the tokens, especially honestly. Getting runes is nice as well. Like when we played sealed, if you don't have like that big bulk box of runes available, it can get quite messy. Like a lot of the time when I've played sealed, I've just had to basically flip over upside down cards and say it can be in any color rune. So I think having those runes in there is a great idea, really.
And the other couple things I want to talk about the official card sleeves and the playmat as well. So the official card sleeves, I have the Vi ones here, which I think the art is incredible. And honestly, they look beautiful. I have to say, these are so significantly improved over the prior sleeves. So like when Riftbound first came out, I got the Ari ones. I thought the Ari ones were really cool. They looked nice. Obviously, Ari is just the one to go with. But the truth of the matter is, these sleeves aren't great. Like, I'm going to kind of hold my hands up. When you shuffle, the edges are not excellent. They have not held up over a series of games and tournaments and stuff like that. The shelf feels not great. And I always thought that like the sleeves needed improvement. Well, I'll tell you, they have certainly improved the Vi ones. They are much closer to like a Dragon Shield type feel. The shelf field is significantly improved. So if anybody had bought like the first iterations of the sleeves and were kind of unimpressed, like I was, honestly, the new third set sleeve seems like they have certainly improved them. The edges are significantly better. The edges are like they're much cleaner, much nicer, and they shuffle way better. They don't quite get to my katanas. I got to tell you, this is like shuffling katanas is like a therapeutic thing that everybody could just add to their lives. But it is such a significant improvement over the prior version of the sleeves, Joe. I don't know if you had any experience using the sleeves or like what your thoughts were.
No, I haven't, but I think it's quite commonplace for like TCG, certainly Disney Arcana. They released like their own sleeves and they never quite felt right. Like a lot of people would have to use over sleeves for them, and Lorcana actually just stopped doing their own sleeves recently. So I'm glad to see that UVS and Riot are like iterating on it. Like one thing you can always do is put like that big outer sleeve on it. For me, if I've got a deck that's this chunky though, I struggle to shuffle it. So in an ideal world, we can just get those sleeves feeling really nice. So it's great to see that they're feeling better.
Yeah, so anyways, in my experience, I'll tell you right now that the newest edition of the sleeves are certainly better than the first edition. I never tried any of the second edition. So with the third set, if you're getting some first-party sleeves, they are significantly improved over the first set. So the playmats, I think, are a really popular item in Earthbound, and I do have here the Vi one, which is kind of cool. I can't really even see my camera here. So I have the Misfortune one, and I have to tell you that this one here does look like it's a little better. It does have the braided edge, which I know some of the official stuff didn't have the braided edge. I think it was like the championship one didn't have a braided edge, which I thought was absolutely crazy. One of the special edition ones didn't. The actual print looks really good, but I will be honest and say that I still find them to be a little flimsy. Like I think they're a little thin. I do prefer a thicker playmat. The look is beautiful. Honestly, it looks phenomenal. I'll throw it up on the screen. It might even be upside down. I'm not sure. Is this upside down? No, it's not. Oh, I did it again. Look at that. There's Vi. It is a little thin though. Does it look really nice? Yes. Has it improved since the Misfortune one? I actually think it has. It even has like a bit of a nicer, it's not foiled, but it has a bit of a nicer like just shine to it. But yeah, if these were just ever so slightly thicker, I think that they would be a stronger product. But overall, I just wanted to really highlight the fact that the sleeves are significantly improved. The mat does look better, still has room for improvement. And I do find that, especially if you're doing like drafts with friends and stuff, the Vault could potentially be a solid option. Not only does it include packs, but it actually has the runes itself, Joe.
And a way to store stuff afterwards. So that's a cool way to see you've done it with like the starter decks. I think that's a really big selling point. The box of the Vault I'm quite impressed with. Like Lorcana's similar troves is exactly what I store all my Lorcana cards in. So happy to see that Riftbound have got a similar offering.
Okay, so now it's time we talk about the pre-rift experience, which honestly, I had a great time. 3 pre-rifts, a 4th one coming, and I just can't stop. I love pre-rifts too, because not only is it a super exciting time to be like kind of delving into the new set and checking out all the new cards, and like we spend so much time trying to evaluate the cards in a vacuum, but once you get them in your hands, sometimes there's cards that really stand out, and that's what happened here. Joe, so I did 3 already. I got Ivern twice, Jin once. So I do have a couple things I would love to talk about here. So let's start with Ivern. Now, Ivern was a legend that I was actually super excited to try out. This is one of my absolute favorite ones of the set from like a thematic standpoint. And so for me, it was like, you know what, if I can figure out an Ivern deck where I'm essentially generating like a ton of value while also like turtling a little bit and creating situations where like they just can't go over my battlefield, especially with the brush, like that is something I'm interested in. And I got to tell you, man, this is such an immensely defensive deck because of certain cards that just generate crazy value. And before I dive into that card, there's one in particular. He's very soft. He's very fluffy, very huggable. It's the Ultra Soft Poro. But Joe, what are your thoughts on Ivern as a whole?
Yeah, Ivern's really nice. I think it's an interesting deck. Like I think the brush is a really interesting mechanic, being able to like replace the battlefield. I'm maybe needing to be a little bit convinced by like the champion units and how well the deck can actually do compared to like, you know, when you've got decks like Aurora going around in constructed, how it's going to hold up. But it's something I'm really, really fascinated by. I love the brush being able to replace the battlefields. I think is super awesome.
Yeah, so the brush itself, so I actually have the Poro on the screen here, but let's talk about the brush first, which it shows up like this for some reason. Actually, you know what? It's not rotated, which is exciting. I don't know why I'm complaining about it, but the brush is a token battlefield that reads birds, cats, dogs, and Poros and Ivern units all have +1 might. And then here's the crazy thing though, Joe. The absolutely wild, crazy thing. You get something like an Ultra Soft Poro, which when you play it into a battlefield, like let's say you get initiative rather early, right? Like you're going second, you play something down turn 1, turn 2, you move into a battlefield, conquer one of them, change it into a brush, and then play the Ultra Soft Poro into that battlefield, right? What's crazy about it is starting on the next turn, you're just generating tokens. And the crazy thing about it, those tokens are not just 1/1 birds with deflect, they're 2s. Like they're literally 2 might tokens with deflect, which is crazy. And if they don't take out that Poro, you're just going to keep making tokens until it's just like, what do you even do if you're your opponent? Like you're not going to go over that power after 4 or 5 turns. Like it's just crazy unless you play like the Ruination or something. But the defensive capability of being able to play like an Ultra Soft Poro on turn 2 if you're going second is just insane because you're almost likely to be able to like secure one battlefield off of turn 1 and then just play Ultra Soft Poro, man. I'm telling you, it was such a defensive maneuver.
I played against this a couple times actually in my pre-rifts in Lille, and as soon as I saw it, I was fortunate enough to be able to get rid of it. But as soon as I saw that come down, I knew that it had to go as quickly as possible because that can get out of hand really quickly.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, though, is so obviously in what's it called, in green, you have a lot of opportunities to like move cards around. Now, obviously, I didn't have opportunity to play something like a charm, but I almost had something like a charm in Skyward Strike. And so what I'm able to do is I'm able to generate this like massive brush battlefield with this Poro and all these birds, and my opponent's like, well, I can't take that right now, and I'll play this card. I'm like, whoa, hold on. What if I take your card and force it into this battlefield, into the brush? Like, I'm just using Skyward Strike to force you into this battlefield with the Ultra Soft Poro and his army of birds that you can't do anything with. And so I had like this constant board advantage where I was forcing these fights, which I thought was awesome. It was like I was using Skyward Strike like an unfair challenge. You know what I mean?
I think it like shows you how good Charm is as well, right? Like Skyward Strike, you're paying like twice as much energy and it's still super competitive. I also had like Blast Cone in my deck, which is like the 4 energy, 1 power purple gear, which basically does the same thing. It moves an enemy unit and stuns it. Now, every time you move an enemy unit, you can stun it again once a turn. I didn't have any other like movement synergy, but just as a one and done Blast Cone, like that ability to basically charm something over and stun it. This card's really interested in constructed in like a Kha'Zix deck as well. So definitely a card I'm looking to cook with.
There's so many cards I want to talk about because like we're going to be getting into like our best cards and stuff like that. But at the same time, I want to just talk about my pre-rift experience because I was able to do something that was so unbelievably broken that can only happen in sealed. And one of the reasons why I love sealed, and it'll never happen again because like you'll never be able to do this. So I'm going to put on the screen a card that I pulled, Joe, and I played it in Ivern. And that doesn't sound crazy, right? So I pull Rengar Trophy Hunter, right? First of all, Rengar is a cat. Kind of interesting. You might not have realized that. He kind of looks like a cat, to be honest with you. Almost like a werewolf, to be honest with you. But long story short, he has Ambush, right? I can be played to a battlefield where there are enemy units. It's like the ultimate ambush, right? Love this card. It is a 5 cost, 1 power, 6 might. Fantastic card.
It's actually got an errata, this card, Alex, if you didn't know. They kind of cleaned up the text on it. So the ambush, like the way that the card's read is you would think that the ambush ability, you can't like play it to an opponent's battlefield where they have units, but it got errata to make it clear. So you can play this in your opponent's turn to a battlefield you don't have any units, just so everybody knows. So it's even better than it might look on first read.
Yeah, that's really exactly. So here's the crazy thing though. So I'm playing this Ivern deck. You got 3 colors. So obviously body's my extra one. This is wild. So I play Ivern, right? Ambush it. Win a fight. Maybe Ivern dies. Not Ivern. Rengar dies. They're like, oh, Rengar's got to go. I don't want that Rengar here. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I'm just going to bring him back to my hand with Starhound. Absolutely insane. So I pull him from the trash into my hand, and I'm like, all right, let's do it again. It was ridiculous, Joe, and it carried my Ivern. That was a very, very successful pre-rift.
This Starhound looks so good in sealed, actually. It's like the kind of card which in constructed you wouldn't really play because you've got probably enough card draw where a card like this, the effect is just not quite worth it, right? But in sealed, like big stats, like 6 might is a big, big deal. And adding like 1 card of your choice back to hand, with Rengar being the clear example here, like that is an insane sealed card. I can absolutely see why that popped off.
Yeah, no, it was so good. Like honestly, it was crazy. And of course, when you're playing sealed too, like sometimes just having things to play matters, right? Because there's way less synergy, and sometimes it's just like who's playing cards, who has a board, right? And so like who can deal with tempo loss better, and Starhound does exactly that. So then my other, so I did play Ivern twice, and like the other one, I didn't have any cracked combos there. I just had some other cards we'll talk about later, which I think are very good in green. But I did get to play Jhin, and I was like, when I pulled Jhin, I was like, oh god, I really don't want to play Jhin. Like, part of me sees the value, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I just don't think this legend ability is that good, right? For those that are listening, maybe on the road, when you play a spell, if you spent 4 or more, you may banish it. Then, if there are 4 spells banished with me, put each in its trash, channel 4 runes, and draw 1. Channel 4 runes, draw 1 is crazy. That is like a very good thing, especially when you think about like a lot of your spells are 4 costed. So basically you get a free proc on a spell, right? Not just to mention the draw. However, I took some notes here. I played a total of 8 matches. So I went 3 games, and then 2 games. I went 2-1 overall with Jhin. And I only played the legend ability twice. I was only able to actually, and maybe because it's sealed and like obviously I don't have the full like constructed experience, but I was only able to pull off that legend ability twice. It was dead in most of my games. However, when I did pull off that legend ability, the game was done. Like my opponent was like, all right, like, yeah, we're picking up here because like I can't deal with what you're doing here. Completely ran over the opponent at that point. What I will tell you though, in my experience playing Jhin, was that there are some good 4-cost spells, especially some of the new repeated ones designed for Jhin specifically. But if we're being honest with you, I think that the Jhin, now again, we're probably dipping a little bit into the best cards here, but I got to, while we're talking about the pre-rift, I got to talk about the Murderous Artist. This was silly, and I think it's a superpower for chosen champions to be 4-cost. 4-cost, like it's being able to just have like these very consistent, very good, and in this case, like energy ramping champ that you can bring onto the battlefield. I quickly learned that like if I had 4 energy, get him out. Just get him out. Because even if I'm just moving him back and forth between battlefields that I own, like a battlefield that I own in my base, he's generating value, which allows me to get his legend ability off more often. He was fantastic. Now at 4 might, the Jhin champ isn't great at trading unless you have a little bit of support, which we'll talk about later. But overall, my man, while I came away impressed with Fury as a whole, I think got a lot of really good tools. And the Jhin chosen champion, I was not impressed with the legend at the end of the day. But I'll have to see if constructed makes a difference.
Yeah, so Jhin is the one that I got 2 of, right? Like I did the pre-rift in Lille and they gave me an extra kit. And I played a lot of games against my friend Fresh Lobster. He actually posted a video. We both had Jhin. Basically, I cracked all the packs. I built one deck myself, played it in Lille, but then I gave him all of the cards from the second set of packs and he built his own deck. We both cut Jhin as the legend. He ended up on Diana, I ended up on Vi. Arguably, I was probably better off without a legend at all. In fact, I had Ashe in my deck when I drafted it, because back when we did it, you were allowed to include Ashe, which they sort of changed last minute, which I actually think was a good thing that they did, by the way. Like it kind of, I think that Ashe was so good for me and it really incentivized people to go down the yellow route. But I think the Jhin pre-package, there's a lot of good cards in there, like the Arena Kingpin was my MVP, the Jhin Chosen Champion is great. There wasn't actually enough 4-cost spells for that pre-pack. I think that was like a big oversight on that one. Like Jhin is already not a great legend, but they really needed to give like more support in that pre-built pack to the Jhin legend, because you're going to be picking up like 2-cost characters and other units in your packs, right? But actually in that pre-built pack, I think moving forwards, it's really important to have more direct synergy so you can confidently play your leader without needing to get more packs. Like Peter Fresh Lobster actually got the signature Jhin spell in his packs and still didn't go for Jhin as the leader, which kind of tells you all you need to know.
Oh, buddy, I believe it. Like, honestly, as a legend, like I was really unimpressed with Jhin. And again, maybe constructed saves it. We'll have to see. The last thing I'll say about pre-riff before we get into our main topics here. Great opportunity to get people started on Riftbound. Yeah. I found that in my my locals, there were people that like brought their brothers to play for the first time and just brought friends to play literally for the first time. And that's awesome. To the point where like I was literally like in between matches waiting for them to finish. And then I texted my brother, I'm like, hey, like I'm going to get you into Riftbound. Like there's people here learning for the first time. You're coming with me on Thursday for the next one. Like you just have to. And so then he's like, yeah, sure, I'll come, right? He knows I'm going to pay for his ticket, but it's fine, right? It's fine. I just want someone to play with. That's one of the things that I'm like, I just want more people to play with, right? I love Riftbound. It's just I find I've already made some decks for my wife and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun. And one of the things about pre-Rift is that like it's this more casual oriented, exciting opportunity to play with the new stuff. And if you're someone who's like, I don't want to play pre-Rift, like it's too casual, sometimes the casual side of Riftbound is incredibly fun. Like, dude, if we can ever go to a regional together, I just want to do side events with you, 2v2s, 3v3s, like me, you, Fresh Lobster, me, you, like whoever, like we just got to crush, get some metal cards. Like that's for me where the fun is, man. Like that's the fun. So it was great to see people bringing like friends and family and stuff to learn the game at pre-refs, because it's like literally the perfect entry point.
Yeah, it's an awesome experience. It was the same thing for Fresh Lobster. He's played a bit before. But he'd been traveling, and after those games, he was like, I think I might have to go to a pre-rift. So, yeah, unfortunately, I was away this weekend, so I didn't get to do any additional ones. But I had so much fun with the pre-rifts, and it does just test you in a different way, doesn't it? And I think it just helps you become a better player as well and understand Riftbound on a deeper level, because it's just a different pace. And there's something really exciting about that.
All right, Joe, we're going to get into the highlights and the best cards for each color in Riftbound Unleashed. And we're not even going to do like a top 10 or anything like that. Whatever you want. Unranked list, just the cards that really stand out to you that you've played with, or that like you haven't had a chance to pull, but you're looking forward to pulling, whatever. Just the cards you think are the ones to chase in Riftbound from a competitive standpoint. And for me, I'm starting with Arena Kingpin. You already brought it up before. I played Jin, I had Arena Kingpin, and I got to tell you, this card is absolutely insane. I'm not downplaying how good this card is. It's a 5-cost 3 might. You're thinking, Alex, 5-cost 3 might. That's absolutely insane. But no, what's crazy about it is it enters ready, which obviously has some value there in and of itself. But not only does it enter ready, but you can tap it, or exhaust it, I should say, to give a unit plus 3 might this turn. That's a recurring thing. You can do it every single turn. Also, you can use spells to re-ready it. So you can be providing this utility multiple times per turn, because Jin does have a skill, or a spell I should say, that will ready units. This is a unit, it's not a gear. And so as a result, the amount of value I got from the Arena Kingpin was absolutely incredible, Joe.
Yeah, I love this card. I've been playing it actually in my Vi deck. I was really impressed with it in pre-Rift, and I was like, okay, but is it actually good enough to play in Constructed? Because it's weak to Falling Star, for example. I think the home for this card, with confidence, is in red and yellow, because the synergy this card has with the Unsung Hero, which is that 2 energy, 2 might yellow unit, which if it's mighty, you draw 2 cards, is honestly unbelievable. You put down this 2-cost unit, maybe you're at 3 runes going second, you just play the Arena Kingpin, you send in the Unsung Hero, and without paying any power, suddenly you've got a mighty unit, which if it dies on the same turn, you draw 2 cards and replaces itself. Like, there's a lot of synergy there. The fact it just comes in ready. It's particularly good in a Vi deck, because Vi is looking to overkill, and that might can help. I do think that the Vi deck in general isn't great from my testing, but I think that Rek'Sai and Darius have access to a ton more draw in Unleashed. And I think that those decks, especially Darius, honestly, could be really good. And with that Arena Kingpin Unsung Hero synergy, I think that it might find a home in these red and yellow decks.
Yeah, and similar to Arena Kingpin, it's all about getting that might. I have to tell you that a card that really stood out to me as well, in a card that I think a lot of people are talking about, is Square Up. Like, Square Up is a 4-cost, which obviously synergizes with Jin's Legend ability, but you're able to repeat it by discarding 1. Which honestly is a heavy price to pay, but also sometimes it's just not. Like, it's just not. Sometimes later in the game, you're holding a card that you don't care if you discard, because maybe this is enough to wipe out your opponent's battlefield. This is Assault 8 on a card, right? For discard 1 and 4. And we know, and one thing I noticed was that, like, my ability to, like, go over my opponent seemed pretty legit with this card. Like, there was times where my opponent's like, well, I'm already at 14 power. Do I really need to put another card there? And I'm like, yes, you do. You know what I mean? Because, like, look what I've got. So, I mean, I actually was really impressed with Square Up. Now, whether or not it's competitive and constructed remains to be seen. Obviously, as a 4-cost, it's, I think, a little reliant on Jin itself. But in my experience, being able to put up 8 Assault is actually kind of wild.
I think also in a deck which just has an abundance of card draw, it becomes better, right? Like, Draven as an example. Like, if this card's just stuck in your hand the whole game and you're working on a very low hand size, it isn't going to feel as impressive. Whereas if you've just got an abundance of cards, it is easier to hold it in your hand for a long time and then just be an explosive finisher, right? Like, you don't need to end the game with 3 cards in hand. So you play Square Up to close out the game and it's going to be absolutely insane.
And another card that's worth mentioning, which I, again, may not see a lot of constructed play, but alongside Square Up, you can do something with like Revna the Lorekeeper, where you actually go into a battlefield, win that one, and then use Square Up to then ready this, because Revna the Lorekeeper is a 7/7 that costs 1 power. It reads, when you play a spell, if you spent 4 or more, ready me. And it has ganking, right? So you can give it the effect of Square Up and then pull it into the next battlefield after you've already conquered one, right? So really liked that combination as well. Were there any cards in red that stood out to you in either your play experience, your testing experience, or just in theory?
I think red honestly might be the weakest of the new cards that it got overall. I think Sharkling probably has to get a mention. I think it's going to be particularly good in an Annie deck where you can combine it with Flash. It's got this, like, I think it's Assault 4, so it can be really, really good on the attack. It's very weak defensively, but combined with Flash in particular, I think it could be really good. But I think Fury overall maybe is the weakest. There's like a few, I can just like list off a few, like Upstage Comedy, which can ready cards, I think is interesting. And then I guess like maybe like one of the other cards which I'm quite interested in is Rite of Conquest, which is a potential draw card. Not sure quite how good it is, but you can potentially draw 3, which is pretty interesting, right? If you're playing like a color pairing which really doesn't have access to much draw, having this as an option could be good. I think that Fury actually is probably the weakest overall with the set. It's still definitely got like quite a lot of decent cards, but there's not that many like cards which are blowing me away. Whereas like Purple, for example, got like 10 cards which blow me away.
Well, of course, purple's always getting something. I guess the last one in Fury Red I'll throw out there. And by the way, in the comment section, let us know what cards you're most excited for as well. Like, what do you think are the ones that are going to be high-performing cards? What are the ones being slept on? This isn't just engagement farming. Like, I'd actually like to read those comments. Like, I want to know what your opinion is. You know what I mean? And I just throw it out here before we move on from Red. What are your thoughts on Vi Hot-Headed? Because in theory, this should be pretty damn good, and I'm kind of excited for it.
I got her to 256 points and she got stunned, Alex.
Yeah. That's like the Marvel Snap equivalent of it's at 256. Oh, it just got Shun-Chi'd.
Yeah, exactly. It's an awesome card. It's a really fun chosen champion. I like the Vi deck a lot. It's got a really bad matchup into Vex and Dazzling Aurora. I do think if Dazzling Aurora is maybe to get banned down the line, which could happen, this is the card to keep an eye on. I think it's a really nice card. Really, really fun to play with. I do like it an awful lot. I don't think it's going to see much play outside of the Vi deck itself. And I think in the Vi deck isn't quite there, but this card was a stand-up performer for me. It's super fun to play. Very, very easy to get it to 24 might without like any issues at all. But rebukes are very prevalent. Stuns are particularly prevalent in Unleashed. And it does have a hard time against those.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into Calm, otherwise known as Green. Don't have it memorized yet, friends. I have it written down in my notes. We already talked about Skyward Strike. I think Skyward Strike is phenomenal. It's good, but it's really good, obviously, in the Yi XP things. Now, the one thing that gives me pause about this is that it's one of those cards that I think is going to be reliant on XP being a good archetype, because otherwise, like, why would you play this when you can just charm, right? Like, we already had that conversation. But if you're able to move something and stun it, all right, this is one of the best cards in the game.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing is you can play 3 charms and this is like your 4th charm, right? Like a slightly more expensive charm. Wouldn't be too surprised to see this creeping into play as a one-of in non-XP decks. Like Charm is an unbelievably good card. This gives you access to another. There's like some interesting synergies in like green and purple with like the Blast Cone, which we talked about earlier as well. This is one of those XP cards which has the potential of being good outside of an XP deck, but in an XP deck, it's absolutely phenomenal.
Okay, so one of the cards that I pulled in my pre-riff and I was playing, and like when I had read this card, I'm like, okay, this is an amazing card. It has to be, right? And then I played, I'm like, wait, this is pretty good. The amount of information you get from Scuttle Crab. It is a 2-cost 0 might, but it's noted that units with 0 might can still conquer and hold. We will add. When you play me, draw one. Death Knell. Choose an opponent. They reveal their hand. You can look at their face-down cards this turn. Gain 1 XP. Now, in my experience, I didn't need the 1 XP because I wasn't playing an XP-based deck. But kind of interesting from that standpoint of like, what do they have? And in Riftbound, get your notepad out, write down their hand. Like, write down what cards they have in their hand, right? Like, I actually found this particularly useful. It replaces itself, and it still holds stuff, right? So... And I know that you love inexpensive 2-cost cards.
Yeah, especially ones that replace themselves. I mean, it just does a lot, right? Yeah, it has no might. But if you also look at the Calm 2-drops from before, there isn't really anything like this. You've got like the Clockwork Keeper, which you have to pay a power to replace itself. That's awesome play. You've got like the Poro. There's not that many good 2-drops in green. So having access to Scuttle Crab, you've now just got like a very default option, which is going to never be terrible. It's never going to set the world on fire, But if you're playing an XP deck, honestly, it's quite unbelievable. Like, get to look at your opponent's hand, gain an XP. You even get to look at hidden cards, which probably isn't going to be very relevant. But if you hide something and you forgot what you hid, you can now look. I think you're allowed to look anyway, to be honest. But
I always look at my own hidden cards. You can't do that?
I think you're allowed to. I also look at my own hidden cards, so maybe I'm going to get told I'm not supposed to in the comments. But I like this card a lot. I think it's good. And I think it's also a very big brain from Riot to point out on the card that this can conquer and hold, or otherwise there would be a lot of judge calls.
Of course. All right, so what are some that stand out for you in green? I got a couple more, but I want to give you the floor here.
Yeah, Honey Fruit is one I'd love to talk about, which is like this new seal. It's a 2-cost seal, kind of, but it can be for any color. It doesn't, when you play it, it doesn't come in immediately. Like it comes in exhausted, which is different from a seal, but it also doesn't de-ramp you in the first place. So if you compare it to a seal, right, when you play a seal, you're going to hold the seal in your hand until that moment you're going to pay your first power cost, right? Otherwise you just de-ramp for no reason. So you don't play the seal until you're going to pay a power cost. Honey Fruit's a bit different. If you've got 2 energy available, you just whack this down, and then when you're ready to pay a power cost of any color, this comes through. Now, the level 6 part of this is just like a little cherry on top. Like, I don't think you need to be playing this card in an XP deck, but it's very, very, very good in an XP deck. And I think it's extremely reasonable in a non-XP deck. So this is definitely a card I expect to see quite a bit of. Maybe like Aurelia, for example, could make use of this. If there's like a deck which has power costs of many different colors, like Aurelia has like the Boots of Swiftness, but it also has the Charms, right? And of course it can pay for the Defiant Dance as well. But I think there's a lot of decks that can make use of this one. I think it's a really interesting card. I love seals, Alex, so I like the Honey Fruit as well. And it can't be pickpocketed.
Yeah. And so for those that are, on the road or something, it's a 2-cost. It reads, this enters exhausted. Reaction, you can exhaust it to add power. At level 6, you can react to add power and mana. So yeah, a pretty significant piece of gear, right? And again, can't be pickpocketed because of that additional cost. Sometimes additional cost is a superpower. I think that Back Off is a really good uncommon. There's a lot of stuns in this game. It's a 3-cost spell. It can be hidden. It's at action speed, and it stuns a unit. But if you play it from your hand, it also draws one. So like, someone out there, I haven't done the math yet, but someone out there is going to do the math and be like, it's not that hard. But it's like, okay, do you want to hide this regularly, or would you rather just use it from hand for that for it to replace itself? Which I honestly, for 3 costs, I'll do that all day long. This is an amazing card. This is one of the ones I think is going to be a 3 of in a lot of decks.
Yeah, I think that the Unleashed is the set of the stuns. From my early playtesting, I am sick of stuns. Having played this Vi deck, they are so good. Like I got hit by this card earlier. My opponents are like 2 cards in hand. They play this. It totally swings the fight and it replaces itself. So extremely strong card. Totally agree.
Another card that I think is worth talking about here, then I'll pass off for one last one here for you, Joe. I want to talk about the Frisky Hunter, and not just the Frisky Hunter, because there's a friendship between the Frisky Hunter and its bird. Oh, do you see what I just did there? I want to talk about these 2 cards together, Friendship and Frisky Hunters. First of all, you have Friendship. It's a 1-cost. It reads Reaction. Choose a unit. Give it +1 might this turn for each of the following tags amongst your units: bird, cat, dog, or Poro. So it could be potentially a 1 for 4 additional might. So Alex, why are you so excited about this card? Why are you bringing it up alongside the Frisky Hunter? Well, the Frisky Hunter is a 4-cost 3 might card. It reads, when you play me, play a 1 might bird token with Deflect here. So they work together naturally because it basically, Friendship already becomes a 1/2 just off of Frisky Hunter itself, which is already a good card. I think Frisky Hunter is excellent, and when I played my Ivern games, I was like, hell yeah, Frisky Hunter, like all day long, baby. Even if you like, one of the advantages of having that really wide board is like those birds, they can just poke away at battlefields over time. Like having access to units that can just conquer after big battles, or even you can just play this into a battlefield to create a defensive position in the brush. Suddenly this is not just a 4/3, it's a 4/4, and you're generating much more value even with the bird, who's a 2 might at that point, right? So really like these 2 cards in Ivern.
Yeah, I agree. Like the Frisky Hunter is honestly a super reasonable card, even without the Ivern synergy. Going wide with two bodies is so strong, and I think for an Ivern deck, like, it's such a nice tool to have. I totally agree. I really like the look of both of these cards, Alex. The one I'm going to go for as my last pick is the Flurry of Feathers, which is a 4 energy, 2 power spell at reaction speed. And you can choose one. You either counter a spell or you play 4 1 might bird unit tokens with deflect. I just really love the look of this card because, I mean, it can't be defied, which is nice. Like, that 4 energy cost with 2 power is actually a bit of a blessing in some ways because it can't be hit by defy. But having a counter spell that can also be something which goes so wide, like we just talked about, right? Like Ivern and how going wide can be good. Well, this is just such a flexible card, right? Like, you can hold it in your hand for the right moment, but if that moment never comes, you find the moment at reaction speed, right? You hold 4 mana up, your opponent finally goes down to like 1 rune open. You're like, okay, I don't need this counter spell anymore. And they use their leader ability or something, which gives you an opportunity to react. Bam, surprise, 4 bird unit tokens. You could play them all in different places, I guess, in theory as well, right? If you're controlling a battlefield, you put them to your base. I think it's an exceptionally interesting card. Like, very comparable to Windwall, but like, it costs a bit more, but you have that flexibility on the card, which I think is super awesome.
I like this card, but do you find the 2 power cost to be a little punishing?
It definitely is. It definitely is. But you could make it work. I don't expect it to be super common, but like in an Ivern deck, for example, where you've got that brush, or like Trifarian War Camp, like 4 1 might bird unit tokens is a lot. And I really like having flexible options, especially on like a counter spell. So we'll have to see how much play it sees, but it's definitely a card which I really like the look of personally. It is expensive though, but you're paying that expensiveness because it's so flexible, right? So like, you're always kind of overpaying with either option, but each option is so different from the other that it's just it's got so much utility. So I think it's a really cool card.
I almost wonder if it's a good card to like add in your main deck, and then you can sideboard out if you have to. But like, if you need a counter spell, you have it. If you want a zoo, you have it, right? Like, it's kind of a good, like, oh, I definitely need a counter spell, and I've got one. You know what I mean? And so it kind of like, it feels less risky from that standpoint.
Yeah, I think also like playing 4 1 might units on your opponent's turn, it's easy to underestimate how swingy in a match that could be, right? Your opponent's like doing the maths on, oh, they've got no units, I'm safe to do something, and then you surprise them as a reaction speed, right? Like, so all it takes is like some sort of ability. They play like a stacked deck at the end of their turn, and you surprise them with 4 bird unit tokens. I think it's a really cool card, but definitely expensive for sure.
All right, Joe, we're on to Mind, which is going to be blue. And we're going to go through all the individual colors, then the multicolored cards at the end, by the way. Sprite Queen, I want to start with here. This is a card that was played against me. And I was like, what am I going to do with this? Sprite Queen is a 7 cost, 1 power. It has 6 might. It reads, when you play me or at the start of your beginning phase, play a ready 3 might sprite token with temporary to your base. That is a ready token, and it is like a token factory. It's basically, it is the sprite temporary version of a Vanguard armory on a unit, essentially, right? It is so good, Joe. And if I can get my hands on this card, I think that like I might just have to play like the sprite token deck because it looks like it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think this card's really very powerful. I mean, it's kind of in a similar slot to a Thousand-Tailed Watcher, so there is definitely competition in this kind of slot. Although Watcher's going to cost you 8 to accelerate, this is slightly more of like an engine, right? Like, you play this to reinforce a base, a battlefield rather, and if it's not dealt with, it's just going to be something turn after turn. So it's a really very powerful card, no doubt about that.
And another card that I liked a lot, Joe, I'm going to take a couple of them before I give you an opportunity to respond yourself. But I'm going to say Eclipse is cool. Again, never played blue myself. Oh, I did play with Jin. I didn't have Eclipse. I found that this was super effective. No power cost here. So it's basically 3 energy at reaction speed. Give a unit -4 might this turn. And you can predict, which means you look at the top card of your main deck and you may recycle it. A lot happening here, right? And for -4 might, especially early in the game, that could be a complete tempo flip. Like, you could try to take a battlefield and be like, okay, I'm being aggressive, I'm taking the board here, and they're like, no, Eclipse, get wrecked. And you're like, well, I guess I got wrecked, right? Like, it's really a good spell, and because you're not deramping the way, oh no, why am I forgetting the name of it? Oh no, Smokescreen. Like Smokescreen deramps you, right? This doesn't. So they are comparable, but I think Eclipse might be legit.
Yeah, I like it too. Like, and it's easy to underestimate the predict part of the card as well, right? Like, most of the predict cards in Riftbound haven't been that good, but that's because they've been sort of attached to underwhelming cards, right? You look at the Mystic Poro, 2 Might and Predict is not matching up to like the Palti Poro with Deflect. But this is already a very reasonable card with Predict added on, and Predict is a powerful keyword, so I think this card is also very legit. I like it a lot.
Joe, any cards in common or blue that you'd like to call out before I just keep going and take all your thunder away?
We got to go for Sprite Fountain, Alex. I think this card is so busted. I don't think it should cost 2. I think it is extremely unbalanced, if I'm honest. It's honestly absurd. When you play this, so it's a gear. It's 2 energy and 1 power. It should be about 6 power. No, it should probably be like 2 power. When you play this, play a ready 3 Might Sprite unit token with temporary to your base, and Death Knell, repeat this gear's play effect. Now, bear in mind it's temporary, right? So you essentially get a Sprite the turn you play it, and then you're going to get a Sprite the next turn. The amount of tempo that gives you in an early game is honestly quite unbelievable. Costing just 2, right? Like if you're at 4 runes, you could play 2 of these things. Now, okay, it does deramp you, but that's where you can start looking at blue seals. You can start looking at gold gear, all these kinds of things. Card's unbelievable. And there's not really any counterplay to it, right? Like it's a gear which, if it dies, does the next effect. So you could like use a salvage on it or something. And to be fair, they're only going to get like the Sprite token, at a battlefield they control their base, so you can counter it a little bit. But it's just so much tempo for so little cost. I think it should have cost 2 power or at least 3 energy. I think this card is going to be pretty much auto-include in mine decks moving forwards.
Now, I'm going to throw up Sprite Burst for a second. I don't love this as much as I love Sprite Fountain. I think Sprite Fountain's a little better, but I still think that Sprite Burst is good. But the reason why I bring it up, though, is because when you take all of these together, it then suddenly makes the actual card I want to talk about here, which is Lilia, a really cool archetype defining card that is one of the ones like that. I think it's similar to Ivern, where it's like it has this flavor to it that I want to engage with to see if like it could be the next thing. Lilia Faefon is a 3/3. It reads, accelerates. You can pay 1 energy and a power to have it enter ready. When I move from a location, play a 3 Might Sprite token with temporary there. Now, I do believe that this is not a readied Sprite token, though. Like, it's being kind of left behind. Like, am I correct in that? Yes, I am correct in that. Good. Got to be right every once in a while, I guess. But yeah, but honestly, this is one of those things where, like, you're generating tons of sprites, right? So it's definitely part of the game plan for this deck.
Yeah, it's an interesting card. It's a chosen champion, which also doesn't have a power cost unless you want it to be. And we know that those can be extremely strong. So I think it's a super interesting card. No doubt about that. I've got one more for you. It's a bit of a left field one. I bet you've not seen it before. Chakram Dancer. I certainly have not seen anybody else talking about this card, but I think it's really impressive. It's 3 energy, 3 might. It's got this new ambush keyword. You may play me as a reaction to a battlefield where you have units. When you play me, give your other units here shield this turn, which is +1 while they're defenders. Like in a Victor deck, for example, or like a Vanguard Armory deck, so blue and yellow, where you're going very wide. You got 3 runes open. Let's say you just got like 3 1 might recruit tokens, right? And you've got 3 open. You play the Chakram Dancer for 3. It gives you 3 extra might, but then it also gives each of your recruits 3 extra might. You're like easily looking like 6 might for 3 energy with this card. I think it's extremely cool and could be very, very powerful in these go wide decks.
You jumped ahead on me, bud, because
really,
when I was shuffling, you didn't see it, but I'm actually building a Victor deck for set 3.
Let's go.
And I know I just showed you Call of the Week, but the reason why is because I think that this card is actually really cool with tokens. Like really, really cool. And it actually goes into the last card that I want to talk about. There are, like, obviously, I think LeBlanc's card's really cool too. But the one that I think is going to get absolutely no one's really going to talk about here, which of course I can't find all of a sudden here. Oh my gosh. Where is Soul Shepherd? Where's this Soul Shepherd? I can't find it. Oh, there it is.
I don't even know what that does, Alex.
You don't know what it does, buddy? prepare
Not off
yourself.
the top
Soul
of my
Shepherd
head.
is a 3/3 that reads your token units have +1. So I've been trying to like develop this new like zoo style deck, and it seems so obvious, right? It seems so obvious, Joe. Like Victor was the first real zoo archetype, but we got some additional help here. And I actually think you're generating lots of tokens. Blue Victor, casting, stupefies, whatever on their turn. You're generating all these tokens. And then you put those tokens there and they look at them, right? And they're like, okay, we can go over them. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, you think you can? Ambush, boom, they're even bigger than before. Absolute chaos. So I've been working on this like Victor like token deck that utilizes Chakram Dancer alongside the Soul Shepherd to see if we can make Zoo reach ever so much further. Because I think that yellow has some of the best removal in the game, right? You can control the board so effectively. And if you control the board, you control the game.
I'm also really interested. I think like Vanguard Armory is definitely a standout card for these very go wide decks. With Dazzling Aurora around, maybe there's going to be a ton of gear removal, arguably. So that might be one problem. But I am very curious. I'm a big believer in Jace as a card in general. Like, okay, you Jace and play Vanguard Armory, get salvaged. It's not really that bad for you still, right? That's how good Vanguard Armory is. So, yeah, that Man of Progress, he is a card. And as I know you've been enjoying Arcane recently,
oh yes,
Alex. So it's nice to get to play the Arcane cards, isn't it?
You know what's so funny? That's like a different strategy of like, you know, showing the cards instead of like actually putting them on the screen, just showing the physical cards into the thing. And so we are two peas in a pod, you, Joe and I. We are on the same wavelength for blue. I think it's about time we go to orange here, Joe. What are your thoughts on orange? We were talking about Rengar. I don't know if we want to keep talking about Rengar, but hit me with a card in orange or body, I should say.
I like the 2 drops. Again, it's one of those colors that hasn't had that many. It's now got Irresistible Feyfolk and the Dragon Soul Sage, but I think the Irresistible Feyfolk in particular is super fascinating. It's 2 energy, it's 1 might, as is the Dragon Soul Sage. We can talk about that one first since it's up.
I just found that one first.
Apparently, I'm not much of a Magic the Gathering guy, but apparently this is basically a Magic the Gathering card. Like it's pretty
Llanowar Elves, maybe? It's because they're the tap for 1 energy, 1 green energy. It's Llanowar Elf, I think.
I think you might be right. That does sound familiar. Again, I'm not a big Magic guy, but I've heard it's very comparable to an MTG card. It's just a really cool card. What do you want from a 2-drop? Well, you want to draw it on your first turn, but you also want it to be something that can do something later. You seem like you've got it right, Alex.
Elite Magic gamer here. Llanowar Elves, tap for 1 green. Yeah, got it.
Nice. Great effort, that. So I don't quite know how brilliant this one is. If you think about like a lot of the ramp orange decks, they're playing Aurora, and this kind of has direct anti-synergy with Aurora. I think Aurora's getting banned. We've got Sydney in like 2 weeks. I don't think Aurora's making it past Sydney, personally. We'll have to wait and see. But this is a very interesting card, and it's just a different kind of 2 energy unit. The other one is the Irresistible Feyfolk, which I do think is going to see a lot of play. It is sort of like a charm on a body, maybe slightly worse than a charm, but I mean, again, charm is just brilliant. And you start to put like synergies in with like that Blast Cone we looked at earlier, in like a Kha'Zix deck. I think this card is absolutely fantastic, and it's just a very different kind of 2 cost. And again, you look at what was the biggest weakness of this color in the set 2 metagame. It was probably the 2 cost units. So the fact that you've got 2 very interesting new options, I think is very good for the game.
I just had a moment that, like, while you were talking, I kind of stopped listening for a sec because I brought up Irresistible Feyfolk, which I forgot existed, to be honest with you. When you said it, like, what card is that? Like, same thing like I did with you with the other one, right? I was like, what card is he talking about? And I couldn't see it. And then I brought it up. I'm like, oh, yeah, that card. And then I took a double take. I'm like, and I just smiled to myself because the art is just so good. Like, I just had this moment where, like, this needs to be like a plushie. Like, we need Teemo hats and we need Irresistible Feyfolk plushies because this is absolutely genuinely beautiful art. The text says cute, yes, cuddly, no.
It looks cuddly.
It does look cuddly, but apparently it's not cuddly, Joe. So got to be careful there. Okay, so I actually am a little less impressed with orange. Rengar was the big one. I think that was definitely worth talking about. The card that really stood out to me that I'm actually curious. I didn't get to play it. I didn't see anyone play it, but I want to talk about Clash of Giants because Clash of Giants is really expensive. It's a 6 cost, 2 power spell, right? And it's a spell, no action, no reaction. It reads, choose 2 units. They deal damage equal to their mights to each other. It's 2 units. That means that you could force your opposing 2 units to fight each other. So you can take let's say you're playing against someone who's playing Dazzling Aurora. You could cause their Volibear and their Dragon or whatever to fight each other, which is kind of cool. And then hopefully, ideally you want their mites to line up nicely, but if there's any damage left over, perhaps you can actually do some removal on them, right? I don't think it's going to be as clean 90% of the time as it perhaps could be, but I think this is a really interesting design. I'm just not sure if it's going to be great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually played against this in the pre-rift and it was great. Fortunately, my Ash, turns out I'm now no longer allowed to play, discarded it and it kind of saved me the game. But we don't currently have orange and blue as a color combination. That is coming down the line though, we know. Like this plus Stupefy, like a way of just slightly lowering your opponent's units, I think could be something to keep an eye out for. One more orange card I want to give a quick mention to is the Gentle Gem Dragon, which is an 8 might, 8 power, or 8 cost rather, 8 energy, 8 might dragon. When you play me or another dragon, ready up to 2 runes. I don't expect this to catch on immediately. I think in the age of Aurora, this dragon archetype is quite overshadowed. But let me tell you, Volibear dragons is no joke. They can do some really powerful things, and it's definitely a deck which, if you're looking to have quite a lot of fun with, you can give it a go. I think I might actually take some dragons for a test run on my stream this week, Alex, because I think it's got a lot of potential. It's going to be overshadowed by Aurora, but it's certainly going to be a lot cheaper to assemble than a Dazzling Aurora deck, and probably a lot more fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you did Gem Jammer last time, right? So anything with gem in it, obviously you're a huge fan of course. I do want to mention before we move on, I think Poppy, this is one of those cards. It's like you read it and you're like, this has to be a good card. It's doing so much. It's a 5/5. It reads, this is Poppy Paragon, I should add, the orange. When you play me, if an opponent's score is within 3 points of victory, ready me and gain 3 XP. So obviously in the Yi decks, this is going to be a 3 of. There's no question about it. It's going to be a 3 of in Yi decks. If Yi decks are good, this is because it's in it. It's going to be because of this card. It's going to be one of the major contributors. But just having a 5/5 that comes out ready in the later stages of the game is in and of itself pretty good too. Be interested in your thoughts.
I like the card a lot. I think it's good without the gaining XP part. It's playable. And then the XP, if you're playing an XP deck, it makes it really solid. Great chosen champion for Poppy decks as well. I definitely like the card a lot as well. Deflect, there's nothing bad about it really, is there?
No, there really isn't. I feel like we would be remiss not to just at least put the Elder Dragon on the screen. Elder Dragon, the 12/10 that costs 4 orange power. What is that? What does that symbol mean?
It's the Christian cross. Stay away.
Oh, I don't want it. You don't want it on the screen? Why? Is it offensive to you?
This card is... Yeah, the Elder Dragon Aurora
It's going to get Aurora
decks,
banned. It's going to get Aurora banned, though. That's what you're looking for, isn't it? Don't you hate Aurora?
Honestly, Aurora plus this, I just wanted to log off when I was playing earlier. I was playing some games on Sim. No thank you. I don't want this. I don't want this. It's
Do not
busted.
want. Yeah. Any amount of your damage is enough to kill enemy units. That's pretty bad. When you play me, choose up to 1 enemy unit at each location, deal 1 to them. That's also pretty bad for your opponent. Yeah, so it is a savage card for sure. And
card would be super fine and super cool if Aurora didn't exist. Aurora is just unfortunately meaning any card like this. There's just it's so restrictive on the design space. I don't think this card should have been printed when Aurora exists. And I think that as a result of them printing this card, Aurora was inevitably going to get banned at some point in my view. And I think that this is just you couldn't ask for a more busted card with Aurora. What more could you possibly wish for from a hit off Aurora? This could just kill 3 units at once and it's 10 might. And you don't have to pay the power cost.
The game just ends,
fair.
Yeah.
It's
basically
just not
the
fair.
game just ends, yeah. I wonder if there needs to be some sort of tech card that's like your opponent can't play gear. Is that too much? I don't know. Like a Bring Here Thunder Song for gear.
I was also thinking some sort of battlefield that's gear removal, right? If you conquer here, banish a gear, something like that would be cool and help deal with Aurora a little bit. But yeah, I just think that Aurora is just as a deck, it's very easy to play. It's not fun to play against. It's very expensive. I don't think it's good for the game.
I think the major thing with Aurora, and like there's people out there that like it and like do your thing until it gets banned. But the thing with Aurora is that like it's very uninteractive. Like it's not, I don't think it kind of, it flies against what I think Riftbound intended to be. Where Riftbound's a game about like battling for battlefields, trick after trick coming down on the chain, and Elder Dragon into Dowsing Aurora is just like, all right, I win because I drew this card and what are you going to do about it? And Aurora has an immediacy to it as well, right? So it's like...
And no power costs on the card you hit. This is just one step too far. I've never been a massive fan of Aurora, but this is where, we have to draw a line in the sand. Like, I don't want to watch, like, Sydney's on in a week and a half. We're going to be watching the Aurora games, and I'm not probably going to enjoy it that much, and I hope that Riot ban it quite quickly. I was actually expecting Aurora to kind of get prematurely banned in the last round of bans, which I think was the correct decision not to, but I hope they act quickly on this one, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe, I'm sure people won't agree necessarily, but I think once you play against this deck once or twice, you're going to probably see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think we've spoken about Chaos yet.
Nope, we have not, which is actually my favorite color for Unleashed. I think it's the biggest winner.
All right, hit me with a card, Joe.
Shadow's Call.
Okay, Shadow's Call.
It's a 2 energy spell. It's not got action speed. It's not got reaction speed. Just normal, good old-fashioned spell. Choose a friendly unit without temporary. Give it temporary.
Cool,
and
so we're in yellow now.
2 cards. Yeah. Oh, Chaos is purple.
Chaos is purple, sir. I was like, bro, what is he talking about right now? I'm looking for it. I'm like, I don't see it. I actually still don't see it.
You said Chaos, and then I took Chaos to mean yellow.
All right, there was a little bit of confusion there. I don't know how I'm going to edit this because we just sat. So Joe thought that when I said chaos, I meant yellow, which is order, Joe. And then you spoke about a card that like I literally have played this weekend. I'm like, that's not the right color, but what's it? And I'm like, am I confused or is he confused? Like, what are we doing here? All right, we're doing order. Joe, you want to talk about Shadow's Call, which is actually a crazy card.
Yeah, love it. I mean, order, not chaos. Yellow order has never had the most amount of draw. Like you look at a deck like Darius, unbelievable legend ability, great chosen champion. Why is it no good? Well, it's not really got any draw outside of Hidden Blade. Shadow's Call, phenomenal card. You give something temporary, you go in and attack a battlefield, that unit dies, the temporary doesn't make a difference. You draw 2 cards. You give something like 1 might temporary, who cares? Phenomenal card, absolutely love it. I think it's like near auto-include in a lot of these order decks. And it's, really awesome.
We already talked about the Ultra Soft Poro. I think he's good. Like, I think the Ultra Soft Poro is good, especially in Ivern. I think he's highly legit. Do I want to bring up someone? I'm just going to scroll through right now. You know what? I think that Heroic's Charge needs a shout out. Heroic's Charge is a very, very good spell. Now you get in that 1 additional might, which especially in the early game could be the difference. But the stun. There are so many stuns in this set. Like, stunning is like the new keyword, which makes me wonder, like, is Leona back? Like, can we make a run with Leona?
Back would suggest that she was ever there to begin with, unfortunately.
No. All right. Joe, what do you think about Heroic Charge?
I like it, yeah. I think it isn't just on an attacking unit. Some stuns can only be on attacking units.
Yep.
There's so many cards that I think are good. We've got to give a shout out to, I saw it just below this one, the Karen Dredger is one of my favorite new 2-drops, and I do love myself for 2-drop.
It's insane. Yeah, this is one of the best cards in the set, in my opinion. Like, it's so good. Like, this was, and I love it because it's a common one, so I got to play it a lot, like play against it a lot as well. So the Carrion Dredger is a 2/1. It reads Death Knell. Play a 1 might bird token unit with deflect to your base. That's good, man, because if you think about that early game, right? Like, you take a battlefield with the Carrion Dredger, they kill it. Now you have a bird token. Maybe you go to the other battlefield, right? You're able to generate this like momentum. It kind of reminds me of what Annie did in set 1, where Annie had this constant pressure that it was applying to the board state. And I feel like this does that.
Yeah, and it's got so much nice synergy with the Shadow's Call as well, right? Like both this and the bird token are like perfect targets for that draw spell. I also, Alex, have to give a shout out to Tactical Retreat, which is kind of like Order's answer to Flash. You choose a friendly unit. The next time it would die this turn, heal it, exhaust it, and recall it instead. It's 2 energy and reaction speed. If you've got like a 7 might Darius, your Darius will deal that combat damage and then be recalled afterwards. So it's exceptionally good with cards like BF Sword and Death Grip, is it called? Like, it's just a great card, which I expect to see a lot of.
Of course, yeah. And I will say that, like, talking about champs, like I lost in like kind of the finals of one of my pre-riffs, if we can call them finals, I guess. But against Vi Peacekeeper, it's a 5/5 that costs 1 power, and with ambush, when I attack, stun an enemy unit here. Man, we're talking about stunning. Like, coming in with 5 might and just auto-stunning something, awesome. Like, it was a great piece to just like, well, you have a big chonky guy over there, he's doing nothing here. And even if I bounce back, I'm wiping out a whole bunch of your guys with you or whatever. Or like, obviously, like, just, it's just crazy. Like, stunning is such an amazing effect, and now we have it. Like, you're right, we've had it on like some cards like Thwonk, but that can only be used on an attacking it. There've been so many instances where stun was like you had to meet like these small conditions to use it, and now yes, you can, it has to be when you're attacking with this, but if you're not attacking with Vi, what are you doing?
I think that's a good segue, honestly, Alex, to the Chaos as well, because there is a Chaos stun card which I think is going to annoy quite a lot of people playing against purple. It's called Existential Dread, which is quite an accurate name because this card is truly unbelievable. It's 1 energy, 1 purple power, action speed, repeat 2. So the repeat is 2 energy. You stun an attacking enemy unit, and if it's already stunned, return it to its owner's hand instead. So this is a 1 energy, 1 power stun on attacking units, that you can also just pay 3 energy, 1 power to stun 2 attacking units, or essentially just rebuke something. Like, oh my goodness, your opponent has 1 rune open. You're like, yeah, I'll go in with my 256 point Vi. And then she gets stunned. Brutal.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. The stunning in this set, it might be like to the point though where I wonder if it's going to suck some of the fun out of the game.
Yeah.
Like, I have that concern. Like, in my pre-riffs, the amount of stunning that was happening, and it also slows the game down. Because when you're working through the battlefield and the assigning of damage and stuff like that, and where you're assigning damage, so I feel like now there's more calculations happening because of the stun effect. It should do the opposite, but in reality, when a unit is stunned, I actually end up repositioning them on the battlefield to keep track of who's stunned. Because like, there's been games where like I've stunned 1 of theirs, they've stunned 2 of mine. I'm like, what is even happening right now? And then some guys die, and then you got to bounce guys back. Like the math turns so much more complicated with the stun stuff. And I actually thought you were going to talk about another cute little card that also has a stun mechanic to it. And this is one of the ones I think a lot of people are excited about. Joe, what's wrong? You have a migraine looking at Vex apathetic? Like, what is wrong, Joe? Are you concerned like I am?
Yeah, this card's so busted, Alex. Like, 4 energy, 4 might. It's a chosen champion. It costs no power. It's got deflect. I mean, we're already looking at a good card. And then we read the next part of the ability. When an opponent plays a unit while I'm at a battlefield, stun it, and just for good measure, they can't move it this turn. Just in case you wanted to move your stunned Darius or Kaiser, you can't. Like, the deflect on this card is what turns it from being extremely, extremely, extremely strong to totally broken. Like, you try and Falling Star this card, you have to recycle 4 runes.
Okay, I know this is really stupid, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but this art, this has nothing to do with Riftbound. This art, it reminds me of in Dragon Ball Z in the first episode when Bardock dies to Frieza defending the Saiyan planet, the Saiyan homeworld, and he's just like in the big giant fireball, and he's like falling into abyss. Like, it has, anybody that knows what I'm talking about, it's like that is the exact face that Vex is making in this art. This like, I'm falling into the abyss while Frieza destroys my planet. Anyways, that's my contribution.
I'm not much of a Dragon Ball guy, but I can tell you, Alex, this card is a mistake. Like, oh my goodness. It's so busted.
Yeah. Like, yeah. But I see it. It's obviously good, but what's game breaking about it? Like, what about it do you think is like, bro, like it's stupid? Like,
I mean, as a chosen champion, right? Like, we talk about these 4 energy. I mean, as a chosen champion, it's beyond belief good, right? But like, I think it's just a must-have in every purple deck. It's a 4/4. It's got deflect. It's already pretty good. You know, you look at like the Navari Scout in green. That's been seen playing Master Yi decks as a 4/4 with deflect, right? This is that card with that unbelievably strong upside, right? Your opponent cannot accelerate in, so it's unbelievably safe. The deflect means that if your opponent tries to remove this, they're having to recycle. You didn't have to recycle to play this in the first place. It's like an answer or lose card in a lot of situations. And even if you answer it, like the Vex player trades up because of the deflect ability. Like it's just overstated in every single department. It should cost a power. It should be 3 might. It shouldn't have deflect. It's so overtuned. Honestly, it's really like there's no way if Riftbound because we've got to bear in mind, right? The designers designed this card probably 2 years ago on average. That was before Riftbound was out, and we saw how powerful these 4-cost units can be. I do not believe if the Riftbound designers were to have designed this today, it would be anywhere near as strong as this. It would be significantly more expensive to play.
Cool. Good take. I want to talk about Bewitching Spirit. And in Sealed, I got to do something really stupid with this card. Honestly, okay, so I did really well when I splashed in my Jin deck. I splashed purple in. I actually pulled that exact Vex, by the way, in alt art, I'll add. I was doing something really stupid. I was playing the Bewitching Spirit, and then I was bouncing it with Grim Apothecary. It was so rude. So Bewitching Spirit, when you play me, choose a player, they discard one. And then Grim Apothecary, Ambush, when you play me, you may return a friendly unit at a battlefield to its owner's hand. So I was returning the Bewitching Spirit and then replaying it. So the combo is 6 power. 6 energy, I should say. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's less about Grim Apothecary, which I actually think is kind of an interesting card, to be honest with you. I think Balance is cool. We should have probably brought it up in red. But Bewitching Spirit, honestly, especially in the later stages of the game, there's a chance that your opponent is, especially like after a big battle, they use all their tricks, their hand's small. And then you could put them into top deck mode and the game's over. Like they're just cooked. And I've experienced this, right? So yeah, I think Bewitching Spirit is a dangerous card because now you have more opportunities to have hand disruption. I think hand disruption is, you think Dowsing Aurora is bad. Having your whole hand get discarded in purple is also a feels bad moment for players playing Riftbound.
Yeah, I've seen some Pike decks using this because Pike Legend ability, you can pay 1, I think it is, to return a unit at a battlefield to your hand, and you replay this. Looks really good. I'm a big fan of discard decks in other games, and this is definitely a card which has caught my eye.
Yeah, and I mean, we would not be able to really finish this segment if we just didn't throw a Baron on the screen for purple. Thoughts on Baron, despite the fact that I kind of want to talk about Sinister Poro, but I'll let you have a moment with Baron.
Yeah, I think Baron's cool. I think in an Aurora deck, it's not that good because it gives your opponent extra opportunities to score. But I have heard some talk that it's going to see some play, maybe on the sideboard to deal with certain matchups. I haven't queued into it yet myself, but I think it's a really cool card. I actually like this one a lot. I'm not sure that it's a easy plug and play card, and the synergy there with Aurora isn't that good, I think. So I think it's a cool card which will be pretty spicy, and we'll get to see some of those ultimate variants maybe in Sydney in a week or two.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to the signature, so multicolor type things here. We got through the colors. There's 3 on my list that I want to talk about for potentially what I think is maybe the best card in the set, Thrill of the Hunt. It is a 2-cost, single power reaction, banish a friendly unit, then its owner plays it to any battlefield, ignoring its cost. This might be I don't know because I haven't had a chance to play. I pulled one, but I haven't actually played Constructed yet. Is this the best card in Riftbound? I'm there's no way this is not one of the best cards in Riftbound. I read this and someone who's been playing card games for way too long, I'm like, this is an absolutely ridiculous effect for 2 cost and a power.
Yeah, it's nuts. I think, Alex, the theme of Unleashed is the legend abilities are maybe on average a little lackluster. You look at Rengar, for an example, it's a very mediocre legend ability, but the signature spells are cracked, which is a really interesting design philosophy, right? It's similar with Poppy, but I think that this signature spell is so good. It gives you a reason to play Rengar, which is otherwise quite a lackluster legend ability. Of course, you're going to have a great chosen champion. That orange Rengar we looked at earlier is really good. but this is the reason you play Rengar. And I think it's a very cool design space. You look at set 1, the signatures on average were pretty bad. This set is kind of the opposite. You've got a lot of kind of lackluster legends, but you play them for the signature spells, which I personally think is really exciting.
Now, I have 3 listed that I want to talk about today, and I'll let you throw it out there, but you did pick up on Poppy. I think Keeper's Verdict is fantastic. 2 cost, 2 power, action, choose an enemy unit at a battlefield. Its owner places it at the top or bottom of their main deck. Oh my gosh, this is so much better. Because it's so much better than just bouncing it to their hand. They have to redraw it. It's disruption, or you can just oh, that card's too valuable, it's gone. Put it at the bottom of your deck. Forget about it. You know what I mean? This is crazy. This is actually a very legit signature spell, and it tracks perfectly with what you're saying. The idea of making signature spells just insane on heroes or legends that might not actually be able to carry themselves, right?
Yeah, the Poppy Legend, pretty bad. Poppy Signature Spell, Poppy Champion, fantastic. So it's a very cool way of doing things. Love this card, that's for sure.
I guess the last one I want to bring up here quickly is going to be Mirror's Image. I think Mirror Image is really good. I think LeBlanc as an archetype is really cool. I mean, we could have talked about the LeBlanc Chosen Champions as well at any point. We just didn't bring them up because I guess we're just kind of bouncing kind of fast. They're all good. They all work with the temporary units in the reflections. Obviously, it's very thematic. If anything, I think that the legends in this set are very, very thematic, and they almost have decks that build themselves a little bit, which I think is kind of cool, but we'll have to see how over time we can min-max them. But curious about your thoughts on Mirror Image.
Yeah, I think LeBlanc's a really strong deck, and it also apparently has a very good matchup into Dazzling Aurora as well. And the signature spell is definitely a key piece to the puzzle with this one. It can't be defied either. Those 2 power costs actually can be a bit of a blessing sometimes. Definitely a deck which you can expect to see quite a bit of moving forwards.
All right, Joe. We've done a lot of talking about the cards, the decks, and of course, the launch of Riftbound Unleashed. And it's finally here. It's this week. Opening up boxes, crafting decks, having fun. It's finally here. Next week, Joe, we're going to be talking the best beginner decks and the best budget decks, I should say, for Riftbound Unleashed. So we're going to be cooking up. We'll be taking an eye on what tournaments are happening. And I think the deck building at the start of the set is amongst the most fun. Because before everything gets dialed in, everyone just gets to cook. And that is truly remarkable. It's also the last set because we get Vendetta next. And Vendetta is going to be releasing simultaneously alongside China. So the true cooking can happen together worldwide. EU, Asia, North America, South, everyone's going to be able to build the decks together, which is remarkable. So if you're not yet subscribed, if you have not yet hit the like button while you're down there, may as well hit both because we're going to be talking about the best budget decks next week. Joe, how excited are you for Riftbound Unleashed?
Yeah, really looking forward to it, Alex. I've started doing a lot of streams on my YouTube. So if people want to come hang out and watch me play some Unleashed, I'm going to be doing a lot of that. Really, really enjoying it. There's definitely a lot of really strong cards. I'm a little bit worried about the power level of the game, the balance of some of these new cards, those purple stuns in particular, and the Aurora. But I'm really enjoying it. Looking forward to, we've got Sydney, I think, in a week or 2 as well, which is going to be a big regional. So there's going to be some very fierce competition very soon, and I'm excited to see how it all pans out.
And Joe, let's say that I'm someone who wants to start winning some summoner skirmishes because I want to get in on a regional at some point. Is there anybody that can coach me the art of Riftbound, especially if I'm a Teemo enjoyer?
Yeah, funny you should ask, Alex. I am doing coaching for Riftbound, so you can check out my Metafy page. I've just revamped it, and I've got some new coaching offerings. I've basically reduced my price as I'm looking to bring on lots of people. I've got a few people that have hit me up already that are wanting me to help them cook best of decks for regional qualifiers. So if there's a certain legend that you really want to make work, you can hit me up and we can get into the kitchen and get cooking.
I like that. The idea of hey Joe, here's what I cracked open, build a deck that can possibly win me a tournament. That's actually really cool. Yeah, definitely. That would be a lot of fun. But anyways, guys, thank you so much. You'll find all the links down below to Joe's Metafy page. And of course, thank you so much for all of your support. Every like and every subscription means the world to us as it helps us launch this podcast, which still, I like to say that it's new, but this is we're into the 20-something episodes now. We've been doing this for a while, Joe. So thank you guys so much for your support. It actually means the world to us. And guess what? Got a lot coming next week. We'll see you on that next one.